On Sunday morning, 26th October 2025, the quiet of Mahube Valley Farm Extension 17 in Mamelodi East was broken by a discovery that has shaken the community. Two teenage girls were found dead in the area. Their identities were not released to the public at the time, and no official cause of death had been confirmed. News of the tragedy spread quickly through the township. Posts circulated on social media claiming to show the girls and speculating about what happened. But with no official confirmation from investigators, even the most widely shared claims remained uncertain. Families and neighbours were left with questions, and an atmosphere of shock settled over the streets where the bodies were found. This script traces not the missing details, which authorities have not released, but the surrounding reality, how such discoveries are handled, how communities absorb the impact of unexplained deaths, and what typically unfolds in the first hours and days after lives are lost in this way. Once police arrive at a scene like the one in Mahube Valley, the first task is to secure the perimeter and ensure no one contaminates possible evidence. Photographs are taken, positions of the bodies are documented, and forensic officers are called. Detectives separate anyone who may have seen or heard something. They begin reconstructing the timeline before the discovery. Where victims are young, one of the most delicate early steps is notifying families before information becomes public. Autopsy and laboratory work follow. Tests that determine whether death resulted from violence, poisoning, or other causes. Investigators avoid public speculation while these steps are underway, not only to protect the integrity of the case, but to avoid adding grief to households still reeling from the first shock. In a township like Mamelodi, dense, relational, socially interconnected, the death of two young people does not remain a private matter. School peers begin to whisper, churches prepare to comfort, neighbours gather at corners to retell whatever version they have heard. Uncertainty breeds fear, and fear breeds stories. Some residents turn to social platforms for clarity, others for catharsis. But the speed of social sharing often outpaces the slow, methodical pace of official verification. Names circulate before families have spoken. Images circulate before investigators have confirmed identities. In the absence of confirmed detail, emotion fills the gap. The deaths of young women in South Africa do not sit in isolation. They sit in a broader national landscape defined by high levels of gender-based harm, strained policing capacity, and delayed forensic processes. While this particular case has no officially released cause at the time of this narration, its context lands on top of an existing anxiety. Parents and guardians already fear for daughters walking home, commuting, or moving between familiar places that do not always guarantee safety. Investigators work within this pressure. Backlogs in forensic labs slow answers. Witnesses are sometimes afraid. Communities sometimes mistrust police. And families wait in a painful gap between discovery and explanation. In the early days of an investigation, the single most useful public action is information. Sightings, sounds, timelines, CCTV footage, anything seen before the bodies were found. Rumors do not move cases forward. Verifiable detail does. Anonymous tip lines exist precisely because some witnesses fear being named. At the same time, restraint from the public is not passivity. Choosing not to amplify unverified claims protects families from additional trauma and gives investigators space to assemble fact rather than fight falsehood. Families of victims, known or unknown, live inside a silence filled with anticipation. The difference between responsible restraint and reckless speculation is the difference between deepening their wound or not. Two teenage girls were found dead in Mahube Valley of Extension 17 in Mamelodi East on Sunday, the 26th of October, 2025. Their names have not been released. Their cause of death has not been confirmed. Their families, schools, and the neighborhood now live in the tension between what is known and what is not yet revealed. The investigation will unfold according to evidence, witness accounts, forensic results, and time. Until then, the only uncontested truth is the loss itself. 2 young lives ended, a community unsettled, and a country again confronted with a familiar ache. The unanswered question of how and why young girls die before their time.